Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we'll be discussing YouTube rolling out some new policies to fight conspiracy theories and a couple of other things, so go ahead and stick around. Let's start by discussing YouTube rolling out some new policies and continuing to fight conspiracy theories. They published a new blog post on the official YouTube blog on the 15th of October 2020. The header of this blog states, "We are taking another step in our efforts to curb hate and harassment by removing more conspiracy theory content used to justify real-world violence." And that's the headline that they gave, but later in the post they describe exactly what they're doing. I did not read through the entire policy again. I'm sick and tired of reading YouTube's policy pages, but here's what they state they are changing about the policy. Today, we're further expanding both our hate and harassment policies to prohibit content that targets an individual or group with conspiracy theories that have been used to justify real-world experience. One example would be content that threatens or harasses someone by suggesting they are complicit in one of these harmful conspiracies, such as QAnon or Pizzagate. As always, context matters, so news coverage on these issues or content discussing them without targeting individuals or protected groups may stay up. We will begin enforcing this updated policy today and will ramp up in the weeks to come. On the surface, this all sounds good, it sounds reasonable, it sounds like a proper course of action. YouTube saying, we don't want people to advocate for violence, we don't want our platform to be used to spread hateful messages that lead to real-world violence. I get that. That makes perfect sense. I have some concerns with the wording that they have. In the header, they state they're going to be removing conspiracy theory content that is used to justify real-world violence. They did not specifically state in the header that they were going to be banning conspiracy theory content that is calling for violence or advocating for violence. They are going to be banning content that is used to justify. Do you see the difference there? A crazy person can watch a video talking about Legos and then go out and commit violence against somebody who builds Legos, and then that content could be used to justify that behavior by the crazy person. This is something that I have been yelling about for years, that just because a crazy person misinterprets or uses your content as justification for their crazy-ass behavior, that does not make you responsible for their behavior. I could say that I hate olives on pizza. This is an example I give all the time. I could say that I hate olives on pizza. People who have olives on pizza are monsters. Then if a crazy person uses that to go beat up somebody who orders a pizza with olives on it, I should not be held responsible for that. Now, if I were to say you should, this is an example. I am not actually saying you should do this. I need to be abundantly clear because YouTube is banning content for advocating for or being used to justify, you know what I mean. It would be completely different if I said you should, this is an example, go out, I don't actually believe this, and beat up, I don't actually want you to do this, somebody who orders olives on pizza. I don't want you to actually do that. That is an example, and I broke it up like that to make sure YouTube's automatic system does not misinterpret what I am trying to say. There is a very big difference between actually advocating and calling for violence and some lunatic using your content as justification to carry out a crazy act. There is a very big difference, and it is concerning to me that YouTube is saying they will remove conspiracy theory content that is used to justify real-world violence. I simply don't think that a piece of content being used to justify real-world violence should be grounds for removal or deletion or banning. I think the content that is being used to justify that violence should actually be calling for it or advocating for it to actually lead to that banning and removal. My other issue or my other concern is there have been plenty of conspiracies that have actually turned out to be true, and what will happen if now the outlets for all of this disclosure are limiting the distribution and just banning this type of content. A couple of examples: the Tuskegee experiments, the Gulf of Tonkin, MK Ultra, the Iran-Contra ordeal, Watergate, the Pentagon Papers, the crack epidemic. There's so many conspiracies. There are so many governmental conspiracies that specifically call out a group of people for committing crimes. At first, it seems crazy. A false flag? Why would anybody? Oh, wow, that's real. They infected people or lied about treating people for 40 years who would do. Oh, they actually did that. Of course, people will be angry when they discover this, when it turns out to be true. I think it is dangerous to say, conspiracy theory content is in a different league because, I don't know why. Because there are some conspiracy theories that do turn out to be true. I will always be one of the first people to admit that I love conspiracy theories, but then follow that up with, I also know that 99.9% of them are complete nonsense, crazy, and untrue. I just find them fun to look into. But they're complete and utter BS. I am fully aware of that. I don't necessarily think that this policy will lead to the complete removal of all conspiracy theories. I don't even know if the reasoning behind it is nefarious, but I do have another concern about the enforcement of this rule, and I imagine that it is going to be enforced in one direction, like we see a lot of the online censorship and a lot of the online tamping down of distribution. The reason that I have that concern is I don't care who is in power. If they are committing crimes, I want those crimes exposed. I want them to face trial. I want them to face justice. I don't care what political party they're a part of. If they are committing crimes, they are not above the law. They have to face the consequences of their action. And I don't think that a lot of these online platforms hold that same belief. I think a lot of these online platforms are saying, we only want people of that party to be held to account. If they're a part of our party, that's perfectly fine. That's okay. We don't want them to be held to account. The thing that really made this just blow up in my mind was the fact that Twitter and Facebook limited the distribution of and fact-checked and made it so you couldn't click a link to a house.gov website. An official United States government website was censored by Twitter and Facebook, and that is incredibly concerning to me. I understand that Twitter and Facebook are not YouTube. They are all different corporations. They have different people working for them. I think there is simply a trend between all of these companies that are based in San Francisco, if I am not mistaken. They have a lot of more left-leaning people working there. No issue with that. It's once they start to enforce rules unevenly, they start to focus on targeting people of a political party or news stories and links that may affect their party negatively and saying, we can't have that, and pulling out these rules and saying, see, it falls part of this rule. This rule says we can ban it, we're banning it. But then they don't use those same rules and apply them to their own party as well. And it really is concerning to me because I think this is a dangerous road to go down, and I think it's going to undermine, at least in the U.S., the democracy here. And it's a very dangerous. I don't think it's going to end well. I'll say that, and that concerns me. Have I said it concerns me enough? Bottom line, I don't think YouTube should ban conspiracy theories that are used to justify real-world violence. I think YouTube should ban any video that specifically calls for and advocates for violence. I don't care who it's advocating for violence against. There should not be people advocating for violence against another group of people or another person. I don't think the used to justify real-world violence is a good rule, because anything can be used to justify real-world violence if the person is crazy. And if somebody is watching a video and then going out and committing violence, they are clearly a crazy person. But YouTube does not listen to me. They do not come to me and ask me for my input because I'm just a crazy conspiracy guy. He has a conspiracy corner. He's a nut job. I've been watching the Seinfeld. Just turned into Kramer, a little bit of a loony. But YouTube's going to ban conspiracies, and I really do expect that they'll be banning conspiracies that target one side of the political aisle. It will be uneven in its enforcement, and that is my estimation. I will link the YouTube blog post about conspiracy theories and this update, and I will also link a blog post that YouTube posted in September about how context matters. Context matters. News agencies, you're in the clear, but individual journalists out there, screw you. You indie scum. You indie scum. Okay, that's it for the news. Let's talk about what you had to say. And the first comment comes... First, we need to talk about what I've been testing. Last week, I was using the Townsend Labs Sphere L22, and I was using a 47 emulation. I believe the Neumann U47 or Telefunken U47. I don't know what the make of the microphone was, but that is the microphone that I was using last week. Now, I'm not telling you what it is, but I'm using another microphone. It's not the 47. Let me know what your guesses are in the comments, and next week I will tell you which one I was using. Now, to what you had to say, the first comment comes from Adam, and he says, "Your audio always spoils me because a pet peeve of mine is when a YouTuber's audio changes from video to video, or even when one video's audio changes from the next. So often, I'm forced to adjust audio because I'm watching a different video. Or even worse, part of a video is noticeably different from the rest. Your consistent audio is what I dream of from all of my favorite YouTube creators. No offense, other YouTubers, I just wish you put in as much effort into setting your audio levels as the rest of your videos. Thank you, Bandrew." Adam, thank you very much for the comment, and I did not include this to toot my own horn. I included this to point out that I do not spend a lot of time leveling my videos, particularly this podcast. I do not sit here and fine-tune it for 50 minutes. I record, I process, and then I dump the audio into a phonic leveler. I set my target loudness to -16 LUFS, I output that as a wave, and then I sync it to the video and edit it and do all of that. I don't do anything in Auphonic. I just say, target loudness, -16 LUFS, process. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's really easy, and it's a $50 piece of software, or you can buy credits for month to month. Every YouTuber should be doing this. It takes 0 time. Drop your audio file, process the file, sync it up in your video editing software. It's that simple. So I just wanted to include that disclaimer. If you're a YouTuber, take the 5 seconds it takes to actually process it and level it. Very good. The next comment comes from SoundSpeeds, and he says, "At 2431, you read a quote about impedance, and your article says to set it at the highest setting and forget about it. I concur with this 99% of the time, and even demonstrate this in my Cloudlifter CL1/CLZ review at this link and timestamp. I will throw that link in the episode notes if you want to check it out. If you think about it, lowering the impedance on a preamp device is bringing down the input impedance from 10x or more, or whatever is recommended. I've seen from 5x to 10x, to only a couple times higher than that of the mic. Doing so essentially chokes out the mic feed just as a long cable would, and also as you read, the result is your highs being reduced. The Cloudlifter CLZ goes from 150 ohms to 15,000 ohms, and the higher output you go with it, the more full the signal is, kind of like putting your thumb over the end of a hose to increase the pressure without changing the amount of water." Alan, thank you very much for the comment and for pointing out that you had demonstrated this exact thing in your video. As I mentioned, I will link that in the episode notes down below, and I really just wanted to include your comment so I could say, SoundSpeeds! Yeah. Also, I am using SoundSpeeds cables most of the time. So thank you very much, Alan, for making great cables. Great job! All right. Now let's jump to my favorite part of the show. I'm going to get the cops called on me for screaming that. I just know it. I'm sorry, Cheryl. Let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Alrighty, welcome to the Ask Bandrew segment. If y'all got any questions, you can send them in. Just head over to askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send an audio, video, or a text-based question. This week, we have nothing but text-based questions. I do prefer audio, because then I don't have to read. I suck at reading. I'm a big dum-dum. Big stupid dum-dum brain. Send in audio. We get to hear how you sound on your microphone, and that's always fun. And then you don't have to listen to me read. You get a little bit of a break. First email comes from Victoria. They say, "Hello, my name is Victoria, and I have been searching for a good mic for at-home vocal recordings at a reasonable price. I have tried out condenser mics such as the AT2020, but I feel as it is too sensitive for my vocals. I tend to sing at a high frequency that is too high for mics to handle. I am a first and second soprano. I usually sing pop and rock songs when I record covers. I was wondering if a dynamic mic would be a better choice for my style of vocals. I know that it will probably take away from some of the highs and lows, but I am more concerned about peaking than anything else. I also have a very open room, so the mic picked up a lot of background noise. I have been stuck between the Sennheiser E935, Rode NT1A, or the AKG P420. I am honestly not sure which type of mic I should choose. Should I go the more expensive route and buy a large condenser microphone, or stick with the dynamic microphones that are available? Thank you." Victoria, thank you very much for the email and the question. That is a great question. And reading through it, I don't think that you need to get a new microphone, because at one point you said the issue that you have is with peaking. That makes me think that it is clipping. It is distorting at the preamp level. The reason that I am suggesting that it is clipping at the preamp level is because the Audio-Technica AT2020 has a max SPL of 144 decibels, and I can almost guarantee that you are not singing at 144 decibels. I think that is louder than the loudest human scream, I believe. I may be wrong, but I doubt that you're singing louder than 144 dB. So I will go ahead and in the description of this video and this podcast, I will link my video on how to set your preamp gain properly. And if you follow that, when you're setting your gain, sing at the loudest, check the levels, adjust the gain to hit maybe -6, -12 dB at the loudest point that you're singing, and you should be good to go. And I will link that in the episode notes. Between those microphones you listed, I would go Rode NT1, not NT1A. But that's because I like a little bit softer top end, a little bit more neutral, and it sounds like you have a very bright, very top-focused voice since you are a soprano. So, although I do think the AKG C12 and the Elam 251 are really popular on female voices, and those are very treble-focused, it gives a nice shimmer to it. I'm not sure. The P420, the AKG P420 may be a good option for you. Before you buy any of them, if you can find somebody who has them, try them out on your voice. I have almost no experience miking up female singers, so I don't have much knowledge there. I just watch videos and say, hey, that person, that's a female. She sounds good on that microphone. I like that. Watch videos of people, of ladies singing in the higher register and see which microphones you like the best. Sorry I couldn't be more help. Yeah, just set your gain. That. Okay, next email comes from Visual. They say, "Hi Bandrew, it's Visual again. On episode 221, I asked how much you earn, and I'm very sorry if I was rude. I never meant it that way, and I hope you can understand. Nobody told me that it was rude to ask, as I am still a child. I hope you can forgive me." Absolutely, Visual. I was not offended. You are forgiven. No hard feelings. We're all learning in this world. No big deal. He continues, "My question was that, Can you run the Rode Procaster or Shure SM7B on a budget interface such as the Behringer UMC22, or will I need a booster like the Dynamite? Visual, here is a test. You know I like to test stuff. I have the gear so I can test it, so here is a test. Hopefully it helps. All right, here we are on the Rode Procaster connected directly to the Behringer UMC22. The gain is set to 100%, and I am hitting around -6 dB. Way too loud for my liking, but for the sake of seeing how loud we're getting, here is how it sounds. I am 3 inches off. Again, Rode Procaster. Let's jump to the 7B. And here we are on the Shure SM7B, around the same distance from the microphone, same gain setting, and I am hitting between -10 and -6 dB, so around the same level, a little bit quieter. But here's how the Shure SM7B sounds in flat mode, connected directly to the Behringer UMC22. As you asked, yes, it can drive it. Here's the noise. Not terrible. Not terrible. There you go. Hopefully that helps. Super. Next, we have an email from Sam. They say, do you have any videos that cover your recommendations of video cameras for podcasts? Yanks, Sam. I don't know if you intentionally misspelled thanks as YHANKS, or if you're mocking me for being a damn Yankee. A damn American. I don't know. I'm guessing it's a typo. I do not have any specific videos about video cameras for podcasts because I don't use video cameras. I use DSLRs. The cameras that I use are the Canon 90D using 2 different lenses, and the thing that sucks about them, they have a time limit of about 30 minutes, 29 minutes, 59 seconds. Not the best for long-form content. You could get a proper handheld video camera. I think that's what Joe Rogan does. Canon has some nice ones. I don't know about others, though. I haven't looked into this stuff in years. I use DSLRs because I like them, and they function perfectly fine for me. It gives me a little bit of a break at about 30 minutes where I get to reset the cameras, which I am about to do because I just hit 29 minutes. There you go. There's a little behind the scenes. Sorry I couldn't be more help. Let me reset the cameras and we'll jump to the next email. And the last email we have comes from Pablo, and he says, I'm new to the audio world. I do corporate training and presentations, and with COVID-19, I had to move all of my work online. So my question is, if I'm only using audio for live video conferencing, presentations, trainings, Zoom, WebEx, Skype, etc., is it worth spending $1,000 USD on a nice mic, USB interface, DBX286S, or am I okay with just a good USB mic? Will the audio quality be significantly different? If money was not a limitation, what would your ideal setup for this type of work be? Thanks a lot. I look forward to listening to your answer. Best, Pablo. Pablo, thank you very much for the email. And to answer the main question, you would be perfectly fine with a USB microphone. The reason I'm saying that 99% of the people on these calls use a crappy headset microphone. They use their built-in laptop mic. They have a bunch of background noise and they sound absolutely terrible. So just by having a decent microphone, that is going to set you miles ahead of most people on these calls. Of course, occasionally you will run into somebody who also does streaming, YouTube videos, or podcasts and has a proper setup and it just sounds incredible. But for the majority of the use cases or the majority of your trainings, having a USB microphone will set you way far ahead of everybody else on the call and you'll sound great. So I think that would be perfectly sufficient, and spending $1,000 really not necessary. But then you ask the question, assuming no budget, what would your setup be for this type of work? I'm also going to have to make the assumption that I'm able to connect an external device, a USB device, to my computer. First, microphone, I'm going to go with the trusty old SM7B. I know it, I love it. I know I have the U67, U87, a bunch of microphones that would work as well. This is just trusty. I know it's going to work. I can throw it through a wall and beat up somebody who comes into my house. I will have no issues. I will put this on a Yellowtech boom arm. I like them. They work. Or maybe the OC White low-profile boom arm, depending on the desk setup, using Mogami cables or the new Sound Speed Specials that I have. Then we get to the interesting stuff, because before I saw this question, I made the decision to start building the ultimate channel strip for streamers. And I'll tell you what, it's stupid. Here is what I've been working on. It is a 500 series rack, and what I am doing, I am running a Neve 511 preamp, then I'm running into a Drummer DS101 noise gate, then into an SSL 611 EQ, then into a Neve 535 diode bridge compressor, and lastly into a Neve 543 compressor, and I'm using that last one as a limiter, running line level into a Universal Audio Twin X. Universal Audio Twin X, I think that's what the interface is called. That's way too much money to be spending on something like this, but assuming no budget, this is totally what I would be using. I love this device. I love the 500 series ecosystem, and it is so much fun to play around with. And I know it's stupid, but that would be my setup, assuming no budget, and I could just spend as much as I want and connect a USB device to my computer, which I cannot do. I have to use a crappy headset microphone, and it kills me every single day, knowing that I could sound better than everybody in my entire company, yet I do not. I suffer. I suffer in silence, and that silence sounds terrible. Pablo, thank you very much for the question. I hope that was insightful, and I hope that helped you make a decision. I know I'm like 4 months late, but great question, and best of luck to you. Hope the trainings go well. I think that's actually going to wrap up for today. A little bit shorter than usual, but hey, I've been miserable and depressed, and I've hated everything for the past couple of weeks, so the fact that I even recorded is amazing to me. I'm amazed that I got out of bed and did anything. So get off my case if you're angry that it's a little bit shorter than usual. Eat a bag of popcorn. All right. As I said, this is it for the episode. I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you watching and listening. Let me know what you think about YouTube censoring conspiracy theories that are used to justify violence. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on that topic. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you. I love you so much. Stay safe. Avoid all the crazy people. And before you vote, don't be a dumb. Don't be a dumb. Okay? What does that mean? I don't know. But don't be a dumb. Do your research. Research every single thing on your ballot before you vote. Don't vote down party lines because they say, I'm a Democrat. Oh, I'm a Republican. I'm just going to vote everything that has the same letter as me. No. Research everything before you vote. Don't be a dumb. Okay? I'll talk to you later. I love you. Bye-bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.